let's talk about why Europeans are fleeing Europe.
I've got a few theories.
You've got a few yeah, well, they're not going to be wrong either. But the thing I think is worth pointing out is just how much our countries have changed. So we did a premium hangout that you can watch on lotus.com about how much Britain has changed since essentially the dawn of film. Right, so if you go back to like 1910, there's video footage of what London looked like, 100 years ago, what London looked like 60 years ago, 40 years ago, until about 20 or 30 years ago, and then what it looks like now. And you can see that the change in what has happened because of mass immigration is a very recent thing. This is within living memory that our countries were not as they are now. And this change comes with it significant consequences. So this is a trend that's been happening across Europe. This one just happens to be about Britain. But you could do the same for Germany, you could do the same for France, you could do the same for Spain or Italy. Whatever.
Anywhere in Europe, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. The borders have been left wide open, and millions of people from the Middle East have come in, and, well, this has consequences. In Germany, people have decided, you know what, we're just going to leave. And so the BBC did a segment on this about Germans fleeing to Paraguay. Why?
Well, I mean, they're saying it's to escape COVID restrictions and vaccinations in Europe, but surely they'd be returning now.
That's actually not true. If you scroll down a little bit more, BBC Mundo's Mar Pichal has been finding out that many of the new arrivals say they have become immigrants in Paraguay because they are uncomfortable with Muslim immigrants at home. Because Paraguay does have some COVID restrictions still. It's not actually about that. A lot of them are unvaccinated, though. But these are the people who are essentially not buying into the hegemonic narrative that vaccine's good, immigration good, progressive's good, gender fluidity good, all that sort of nonsense.
Well, the progressive approach to immigration seems to be that if you bring people from pre-medieval societies to Europe, they will suddenly become enlightened Europeans and stop, so if a woman smiles at them, they won't rape her and they won't form grooming gangs and... or blow themselves up at pop concerts. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, that turned out not to be correct. So let's play.
I mean, obviously, a lot immigration brings a lot of benefits, and a lot.
Screw
of
the benefits. It comes with a lot of explosions.
But you got to look at the bad things as well, and we're not allowed to, because if anybody mentions the bad things, they immediately get called racist.
Well, yes. Let's watch the first. This is about a minute and a half long, but it sets the scene. So you can see around 1.5 million migrants and refugees arrived in Germany. That doesn't count, like, proper immigration, legal immigration. Many practice Islam. Oh, I bet they do. I bet they bloody do. Not everyone is happy about it.
That's racist.
Ich finde, es geht darum, dass es einfach nur geregelt werden sollte, die Einwanderung. Es muss ja bedacht werden, wie viele Einwanderer kommen herein. Und das muss ja mit diskutiert werden mit der Bevölkerung.
Dieses Land Paraguay ist... so wie wir jetzt es erlebt haben, sehr christlich. Und wir kommen auch aus einer christlichen Kultur. Wir haben ganz tolle Nachbarschaft und viele Leute kennengelernt, mit denen wir auf einer Ebene agieren können. In Deutschland nicht so stattfinden kann. Ja, das ist auch so, dass im Allgemeinen die Muslime so provokativ vorgehen. Ja, nee, das muss vielleicht auch nicht gefilmt werden. Das wird zu arg, ja. Das
oh ja.
Wie ich mich jetzt über die Muslime äußere. Ja, das ist vielleicht zu stark.
Yeah.
And he might be worried about death threats as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But this is the point, isn't it? Like, him, a German man saying, well, look, the Muslims come over and they're very provocative, implies the Muslims aren't really taking German sensibilities into account, right? I mean, there are lots and lots of examples of this. One may be going outside of the Holocaust Memorial and chanting Adolf Hitler, Allahu Akbar, while waving a Palestinian flag and
that's surely like okay in the Guardian.
Is that provocative to a German?
That is purely.
I mean, should we watch the clip? Palestinian flag.
Is this Jeremy Corbyn now?
Is this provocative to Germans? Maybe I'm speaking about them too strongly. Yeah, maybe the Free Palestine protesters here waving their Palestinian flags, chanting Adolf Hitler, Allahu Akbar, and doing the Nazi salute is a little bit provocative to the Germans. Like, I can see why he wasn't a fan.
It's like the president of the NUS right there.
It literally is, actually. But the thing is, I mean, like, what is this bold synthesis? I mean, Hitler did wish he was a Muslim, according to the Wall Street Journal. He literally quotes, "It's been our misfortune to have been the wrong religion," Hitler complained to his pet architect Albert Speer. "Why did it have to be Christianity with its meekness and flabbiness? Islam was a man's religion, and hygienic too. The soldiers of Islam receive a warrior's heaven, a real earthly paradise with houris and wine flowing. This," Hitler argued, "was much more suited to the Germanic temperament than the Jewish filth and priestly twaddle of Christianity." You can see why they like Hitler.
Man.
Like these Palestinian activists who are chanting Allahu Akbar and Adolf Hitler, you can see why they like him.
I didn't know that Hitler was so anti-Christian as well, the way he spoke about Christianity there. Because I thought Christianity was like a sort of, core thing of
I had
Hitler.
no idea
Was
myself.
that just to sucker in, the mainly Christian...
I guess he had no choice, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
But he sat there reflecting, God, I wish we were Muslims. So, God. So anyway, I mean, what other things have Muslims done that are provocative? Well, we covered the other day the Ramadan riots in Sweden in podcast episode 375, where there were just riots of peace. There was an update to this, by the way, which is why I bring it up. The police had to shoot 3 people in new riots after Ramadan. They fired several warning shots after coming under attack because, of course, mobs and mobs of Muslim immigrants were chucking rocks and Molotovs and things like that at the police, and so the police fired into the crowd, injuring 3 people. These 3 people who were shot have been arrested on suspicion of committing criminal acts. Sweden's Justice Minister Morgan Johansson told the rioters go home immediately, and the person complaining about this was labelled as a right-wing extremist fool whose only goal was to drive violence and divisions, said Johansson. Really? Really, is that the case? So the right-wing party complaining about this were like, this seems bad, and like, stop being a racist.
Yeah. Well, you notice with anybody who raises the assimilation of extremist ideologies into the West, like Pim Fortuyn, who absolutely...
Who was killed.
Who was killed.
By a leftist.
Yeah, by a leftist.
Because he was Islamophobic.
Absolutely wasn't, any sort of... he wasn't racist or anything like that. He raised objections, and he voiced, the reasonable objections of many normal people, such as the German couple we saw speaking there.
Yep.
Because of that, he was killed, and he was then smeared as racist, posthumously smeared as racist and Islamophobic. And it's ridiculous. So we can't have a free debate. We can't have a free discussion about it. The danger is, the more this is suppressed, when it eventually pops up, it's going to be far more horrific and brutal and violent than if a free debate could be allowed to take place.
And moreover, you're going to get way more victims, like the Jewish man in the run-up to the French elections, who's being chased by a mob of Islamists and ended up being killed by a tram because he had to run in front of this tram. If you go to the next one, John, you can see this reporting on it on just Twitter. It was, but this chap was being chased by an Islamic mob, and no one cares, right? Yeah. And then you go to like Al Jazeera,
and there's regular killings of Jews in France.
They're
quite. I mean,
Samuel Pepe got his head cut off.
Guys with knives. Yeah. So it doesn't even make the news over here. It only makes news if it's a big one like the Bataclan or Charlie Hebdo or the Bastille Day.
Yeah, otherwise it just goes essentially unnoticed. But Al Jazeera, Qatar's favourite progressive outlet, are complaining about this. Oh, the French culture war over Islam shows no sign of abating. Yeah, no kidding. Like all of the murders, all of the violence. It seems that there is a real issue with this going on. But anyway, we'll move on. Let's have a look at what the German view of this is. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier says he believes there is a place for Islam in Germany. Really?
Well, I mean, there could be a reformed Islam. Like, we've got Christianity where it's basically just a club, and you sort of, it's for...
So if the Muslims stop being Muslim, then that'll integrate.
No, if they become Muslim 2.0. And just...
So what, you can't modify Islam?
I know, but Christianity used to be pretty wild back in the day.
Christianity, there are lots of modifications to Christianity. There are a lot, but if you get that, you get civil war. Yeah. So you're proposing civil war in the Muslim community.
I mean, well, I know a lot of I'm mates with a lot of Muslims, and one of them openly admits that he's like, yeah, we're going to take over. And he says, we're going to take over, and then all those lefties who supported us, they're not going to get what they thought they were going to get. All these LGBTQ for Islam, he's like, they're going off the roof.
That's because that's what's going to happen, right? And the thing is, as men...
But a lot of,
who cares?
a lot of Muslims who... I'd say the majority of Muslims who come to the West just assimilate, because for most people see that religion is just a social club. It's not a you know what I mean. It's just a fun thing. You got your Ramadan, you got Christmas, whatever. It's just a fun thing. But like obviously you get some that take it too far. Also, they recruit a lot of gingers.
Sure,
I've noticed a lot of it's tied to not being able to get any sex.
But the thing is, those people who see it as just a social club are not going to be protesting when your radical friend is chucking people off roofs.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, like when the time comes, I'll just convert to Islam. Like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm a man. I'll get a bit of an advantage over my wife. Actually, this is going to be great. So anyway, so his view. No, we'll go back to that one actually, because this is really fascinating to me. Right, the leader of the Bavarian Christian Social Union. So Christians, understandably, don't really want a rival religion taking over Germany. This is the internist. He claimed that Islam doesn't belong in Germany, which I mean they have fought crusades to keep it out of Germany. So I mean, and so the Interior Minister Horst Seehofer, said, "Of course, Muslims living here belong in Germany. My message is Muslims need to live with us, not against us or next to us." And it's like, okay, how are you going to do that? How are you going to persuade them that that's what they need to do? Of course, these people are called racists. There was a view on this published by an Italian journalist in an Israeli newspaper, which I found fascinating. Germany is no longer a nation, it is a condominium, and the rest of Europe is following its lead, and we haven't seen anything yet. We have already seen too much, but we haven't seen anything yet. If they succeed in all of this when they're still 5%, what will society become when they are 20%? What does your Muslim friend think of that?
Well, he says,
Yeah.
we're here to take over.
Yeah.
So
The German state has officially capitulated to Islam, writes the famous German Islamologist of Syrian origin Bassam Tibi in New Zürcher Zeitung, because the end of nation states was not just the end of states as the globalists had hoped, but the end of nations. So this, as they think, is a clash of civilizations. And your Muslim friend thinks it is also a clash of civilizations. They probably can't believe their luck. Also, they're just going to let us come here and take over, aren't they? Well, I guess we are. I guess the Germans are. Anyway, so moving back to the Paraguay interview, let's watch the next clip. Do you have any evidence that Muslims don't value Western women?
Die neuen Deutschen haben ganz andere Gründe. Sie wollen ihre Kinder schützen. Ja, die werden vergewaltigt, die werden belästigt auf offener Straße. Ja, weil sie nicht sich verhüllt haben. Sie sind nicht verhüllt und eine deutsche Frau ist nichts wert.
But that is a strong accusation. Do you have or do they have any evidence of that?
Is there any evidence that Muslim men don't respect Western women?
there's quite a lot of evidence.
It's mountains of evidence, right? So this is from Bild, right? Apparently in 2021, I believe this was, there was a report that showed there were 2 gang rapes every single day in Germany, half of them done by migrants, refugees, people going through asylum, right? Not they don't have German citizenship. People who have arrived in the 1.5 million asylum seekers.
Once you arrive in the West, you have an asylum claim. It can take years to be
Yeah.
processed,
And you won't get deported.
And you never, if you just get told, your claim wasn't successful, so now you have to leave. And this is 7 years after.
I mean,
you
this
don't
what
have to
happened
leave.
with
You
the
just sort of disappear, but don't leave.
Yeah, this is what happened with the Liverpool bomber, where
Yeah.
he was supposed to be deported like 4 years ago. He was still around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on average, 2 girls and women in Germany are raped by gangs, groups of men every single day. This is what the Federal Criminal Police Office reported. Literally 700 gang rapes a year going on in Germany, which, I mean, why are the German men so like this is the question. Every second suspect was not a German citizen, so they were immigrants, but then the German citizens, of course, were not ethnically German either, obviously. The men often came from Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. Yeah. What a shock. Apparently 6% of the suspects were Afghans, even though they make up only 0.3% of the population. And most of them committed the act while the asylum procedure was ongoing. Can I have asylum to your country? Why? What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to start raping some people. I mean, that's actually what they're doing. But the thing is, this data has been suppressed by the German authorities for years now.
Yeah,
right? So
like the data is around the grooming gangs.
We'll get to
in
that
the
in a
UK.
second, because we're going to go through this. Do you have any evidence that Muslim men don't really think very highly of Western women? Yeah, we've got loads, actually. So the Gatestone Institute did a great article about this, right? How the data has been suppressed by German authorities for years, right? Germany, and this was in 2016. when they were suppressing it then. Do you remember the Cologne sexual assaults that happened in Cologne New Year's Eve? Germany's migrant rape crisis has now spread to cities and towns in all 16 of Germany's federal states. It finds itself in a vicious circle. Most of the perpetrators are never found, and the few who frequently receive lenient sentences. Only 1 in 10 rapes in Germany is reported, and just 8% of rape trials result in convictions, according to their justice minister. Up to 90% of sex crimes committed in Germany in 2014 do not appear in the official statistics, according to the Association of Criminal Police. Quote, there are strict instructions from the top, not to report offences committed by refugees. It's extraordinary that certain offenders are deliberately not being reported about, and the information is being classed as confidential, says one high-ranking police official in Frankfurt, quoted by Bild. But do you have any evidence? Do you have any? Look, the BBC Journal, the blank-faced progressive. Oh, I mean, that's a strong claim. Do you have any evidence? Yeah, loads of rape victims.
There's a
mountains of rape victims.
There's a repeated mantra in woke culture that this is a right, and the Guardian openly state this. The idea of rape gangs, grooming gangs, is a right-wing conspiracy theory.
Yep.
Even though the data and like the anecdotal reports, look at the trials.
Well, let's go for a report. In fact, the next one is talking about the grooming gangs victims in Britain. Right, this was interesting. This was from last month. 2 months ago now, because I can't keep track of time. But this was a report that was done, an independent inquiry into the child sexual abuse. And they held 11 days of hearings and took written evidence from victims. So again, what more do we need? What more could we get, right? So this was where grooming gang victims were called slags and accused of lying in court by the authorities. While another reported being drugged and raped, only to see the perpetrator let off with a caution by the police. A police officer told me I was what was going wrong in our society. So you've got a person who was abused as a 12-year-old, and they're like, yeah, so I was raped and abused and drugged, and like, yeah, you're the problem with society. So really, it's not the rapist. Yeah. He's not the problem. The nonce rapist.
And the authorities higher up, so the Labour establishment. You wonder why Labour lost support across post-industrial towns in the north. Yeah. Like the Labour establishment, MP Naz Shah, I think it was. Retweeted tweets saying that the victims of grooming gangs should shut up for the sake of diversity.
Yep. So let me carry on with some of these quotes because they're just staggering, right? Another one said that we are going to get these men in trouble because we wanted to act like child prostitutes. She was 12.
Yeah.
She was 12.
Somebody talking like that and being treated by the police and being treated by social services and health and whoever else as a willing participant in this is absolutely abhorrent and disgusting. And it's also a perfect example of the classism in British society, because for a fact
working class English,
these girls in care homes, the absolute bottom rung of the British class system. If the grooming gangs had gone after the privately educated daughters of Guardian journalists, do you think they'd have been able to operate for decades and decades? Do you think they'd have got off with lenient, being able to apologise and just walk free? It's an absolute disgrace. The establishment completely failed these girls.
Well, they were totally against these girls. Again, like you are going to get these Muslim men rapists in trouble. It's like, good. They should be in trouble. Why would that be a problem? Well, because they're, of course, on the wrong side of the question. And so, like, when Ukrainian refugee women went to Sweden, how do you think that went? Not great. We're fleeing the Russians. Yeah, well, you came to the wrong place. You went to Sweden. We can get to the next one, as Visegrad 24 report. Ukrainian women who fled the war to Sweden say they're now afraid in their new country. Men have on several occasions broken in at night to the building where they've been in and where they've been placed by the authorities, banging on their bedroom doors aggressively, demanding to be let in. Why would Swedish men be like this? Any solutions? Any questions? Any suggestions? But anyway, let's go back to the BBC Journal because we need to know whether this person's just a racist or not.
What would you say to people who think that argument is racist, that you are being racist?
You're a racist if you don't let the Muslims rape you.
So she's not being racist against Sikhs, Hindus, Buddhists, Jainas, Zoroastrians, atheists, Mormons. Being
racist against Muslims, though. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
This is what I've seen like so many times. It's bracketed as a race thing when so many people are absolutely fine with quite high levels of immigration from from China, from the Caribbean, from
from
Africa.
India. Hindus aren't doing this.
Yeah.
But and they say, oh, it's a race thing. It's like, okay, look, Pakistanis and Hindus are genetically virtually identical.
Yeah.
It's an ideology problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's a culture, values, and ideology problem.
Exactly. And
it's like we wouldn't people in the West wouldn't like it if like Nazis.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying obviously the majority of Muslims absolutely fine, but there are, man, you cannot say that people from Afghanistan and Syria, you cannot say that people have got the same values, and if you bring them here, they're going to suddenly become enlightened, Western, liberal, with equal rights for gay people and women. And the people who, I thought, gay people, trans people, women, these are the people the left usually stand up for.
Entrenched cultural attitudes from the Muslim world. And Pew have done loads of polling on the Muslim world, and it's everywhere. They just really have very regressive beliefs socially. And it's just one of those things that it manifests in the way that they treat women. So women essentially can't be free in our society, in the way that women aren't free in their society.
And we would just want women to be free because we're woke.
Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, is it racist? Well, maybe. I don't know. Who are these people? Communists who are like woke communists who are like, that's racist. Well, they think everything about our country is racist. Yeah. They think that Tony Blair's policy of sending illegal Muslim immigrants to Rwanda to be processed is racist. It's like, okay, I don't care.
Priti Patel's policy.
She's a racist.
This is and it's already done by...
No, this policy was created by Tony Blair.
Oh, is it Tony Blair?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
well, then maybe it's terrible.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, maybe it is bad.
Given a lot of this was, caused by Tony Blair's wars in the Middle East.
Yeah, but it goes... Well, no, I don't agree that this is the consequence of Tony Blair's wars in the Middle East, actually. I think this is a consequence of us being essentially totally soft touches in every way, shape or form.
Well, and also Russia, because Putin saw an opportunity to go into Syria, create a huge amount of destabilization and send waves of immigrants up into Europe to destabilize.
Yeah, they definitely ferried migrants across to Poland's borders, didn't they? Yeah. But anyway, this they're complaining that it's racist to send them there. And I love Navarro Media's position on this. We'll go to the last one. Oh, it's worse than you think. She'll deport them permanently.
Well, they can leave Rwanda, surely.
Who cares if they leave Rwanda? They should be permanently deported to wherever.
But Rwanda's safe. I mean, I don't think this system.
Cares?
The thing is, I don't think the Rwandan solution is the perfect system. But we've got to do something to stop the channel crossings. You know what
absolutely.
I mean, I admit that these people are fleeing terrible conditions.
The bollocks! France is just not that bad.
Have you seen the service in France? Have you ever been served by a French waiter? Oh my God! These people deserve asylum based on that. Man, they're stepping in dog poo on the pavement. There's come on.
The people who break into our country illegally.
France is a hellhole.
Deserve to get deported to Rwanda, which is way better than France, I have heard.
Yeah.
From the Conservative government.
Honestly, I'd rather be in Rwanda than getting put in some council estate in Dundee. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, well, why would you want to be there, of all places?
Yeah.
But okay, fine. But the point is that the left is once again advertising the positive aspects of Priti Patel's Rwandan policy. They're going to get deported permanently. Well, fingers crossed. Let's hope this isn't just a big promise that isn't going to fall through.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium articles we do, this one from John Tangney, Mr. Potato Head, The Black Family, and The Case for Reparations, also now with an audio track for silver tiers to listen to instead of having to read. And if you want to follow what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.